Welcome to Living in the Go. Today I want to talk to you about inflation. And you've heard of inflation, certainly. They're always talking about the inflation rate is high or it's low or whatever. But I don't know if you really understand what it means. So I want to give you a little brief synopsis on what inflation is, and hopefully that'll help you. So, what is it and how does it work? So the definition for it is inflation represents the rate at which the cost of goods and services increases over a period of time. So the inflation rate for the year might be 4%. Maybe over a 6 month period, it was at 3% or whatever. You get the picture. But it's measured over a period of time. And there are three types of inflation. There's a demand pull inflation, cost push inflation, and built-in inflation. So the demand pull, so when the demand for goods and services exceeds the production, that makes inflation go up. So let's say you heard about the latest Michael Jordan gym shoes that's on sale, and because so many people want them, instead of them coming out for, I'll be cheap, $200 a pair, they've boosted it up to $500 a pair because of the demand, and the demand is going to pull that inflation rate up higher. The next is the cost push, and that happens when production costs increase over time. So let's say you, in this example with the balloons, typically you could get the helium balloons for just $5, but because helium went up in price in order to fill those balloons, then they pass the cost on to you, and so then you're paying $10 because helium went up. You get the picture. So that's the cost push. And then the last is the built-in. So that's when the prices rise because wages would rise too in order to maintain the cost of living. So if a house was $150,000, but your salary could only pay $100, then you want the salary to be raised as well to match that so that you can keep up with inflation. Unfortunately, these days we are not keeping up with inflation because wages are stagnant. But that's really what inflation means. I always have my beliefs, and I'm going to share those with you right now. So we will always have inflation because we live in a capitalistic society here in the United States. That's what we are. We're born and bred on that. Now, many countries' money used to be tied to the gold standard, as was ours, but that all changed. And what it really says is when we were tied to the gold standard, that you couldn't print more money than you had. So we have the facility Fort Knox where all our gold was stored, supposedly. And so they would print money based on what we had there to support it and back it up. And they changed that because they wanted to be able to print more money. So that was not the standard any longer. So that's what happened in a lot of countries. Now, adjustable rates, they can be good or bad with inflation. So you need to tread lightly. Right now, when you see that the interest rates are very, very low, that means inflation is low right now. But things could change on a dime. You can look up and things can go right through the roof. We just don't know. Our economy, especially here in the United States, and I guess in Western Europe as well, has not kept up with the wages because wages are stagnant and we have the working poor. And because of inflation being what it is, we can't meet that demand. And it's something that they need to work out in terms of either increasing people's incomes or looking at that inflation rate for the goods and services that we have to buy in order to survive. Now, when consumers feel more positive, they spend more. And with that, again, that impacts inflation as well. So they look at the positive index and they say, okay, the country's doing well, we're making money, wages are good, I'm going to spend more. So those are the indicators that you can look at when they talk about the consumer feeling positive. That's an indicator that they look at. How are you handling inflation? So if your wages are stagnant and the inflation rate is hurting you, what are you doing to mitigate that? Because again, that comes into our financial wealth. If we're not looking at how inflation is impacting the money that we're trying to save, then that's a real problem because the dollar that we have today and we save, it won't be worth that dollar because of inflation if we aren't finding ways to mitigate that risk. So that's something for you to think about. Thank you so much for your time and attention. If this was helpful for you, then please hit the like button, share it with a friend, and subscribe if you're not already doing that. If you want more information about inflation, leave me a comment in the comment section and I'll dig a little deeper to get more content for you. Thanks again and have a great day.